Well, while we wait for Mr. Light, we'll get the meeting going since we just have kind of like housekeeping things to do here at the beginning. So I'll call the meeting to order at 6:06. Love it. So with that, if we could all stand, flag over here, and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So now we'll do the roll call of members present. Please.
Mr. Baracco?
Michael Slow. Here.
Ms. Shimataro?
Here.
Ms. McCafferty?
Here.
Mr. McAfee? Mr. Light.
Here.
Mr. Light is not here at the moment.
Yep, he's just running a little bit behind. We can add him. We'll all clap when he walks in. And then staff present is Miss Pat and Miss Sherry. And should we?
Yeah, you can proceed.
Okay. Okay, so the approval of the agenda, I have a couple of things that I would like to add to the agenda. One, I would like to add number 14, adjourn.
Oh, wow.
Don't like that.
And then I would also like to add, I'll call it, I don't know, 10-1A.
10A1.
Yeah, 10A1 or 1A, I don't know, but I'd like it to go before the closed session, and that is, I heard that Good Times in Goodrich was gonna be here wanting to add, or talk about their thing, and instead of making them wait for closed sessions and public hearings to be done, to get their business out of the way, since it should be fairly short.
I also, is there any more adds to that? I'd like to add one more thing too. I'd like to add on J, I know it was on there at the beginning, the resolution 219 to the resolution of Village of Council providing the identification of council members as items J.
Okay, I talked to the attorney about that, and he doesn't, and we can talk more about this, but at the, it's not necessary to do that right now. He would like to look at a few things prior to making a decision on that.
Right, I'd still like to have a motion to have it on the agenda, and since they're here, we can talk to them in closed session, and then if we have to come back to it afterwards, at least it's there. That's my motion, unless I got support.
I support that. I think it's, we can always make it contingent upon the attorney's approval.
Yeah, I've talked to both Mr. Baracco and yourself. The concern I would have is that, do you require 2 readings for your resolutions or anything like that? Or just one to take action? My concern would be is if there was some modifications to this, then it would have to come back. I suspect it won't just be a simple, oh, you've got my okay. I think you'd have to come back and approve it either way. But it's your, if that's what the board's pleasure is, you can do it that way. There's nothing illegal with doing it that way. So you can add it on the agenda.
Okay, and then,
But it's not something that can be discussed and closed, because that's not on your agenda.
Correct.
so we can't discuss it in closed session, we'd have to discuss it in open.
Yes.
That's, I got my motion in support, that's done. I think it's important right now that we do that because we have no coverage for any employee.
I think it's important to put it on the agenda, I'd second if that's a motion.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, and we have support on that motion, so, Mr. McAbey?
Yes,
No, they asked who supported it.
I did.
Right.
No, she had one, I don't know.
I didn't bring it with me because I didn't know that this was gonna happen.
I'm sorry, you need a copy of it, is that what you're saying?
No, I have a copy, Tim just gave me a copy of it. So I guess, we'll add item J. And, so now we're, looking to, approve the agenda with the added items of adjournment, the good times folks as, N-1A, I guess, and adding item J, the resolution 29-2. Was your motion to approve the agenda? Okay, so roll call, please, on that.
Ms. McCafferty?
Yes.
Ms. Simatano?
Are you yes or no? No.
Mr. Baraco?
Yes.
Mr. McAbey?
Yes,
Motion carries.
So now we'll move on to approval of amendments of minutes, or just minutes if there are no amendments from the regular meeting of January 14th.
all right,
Right.
looking for a motion, I'll make
Yes.
a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Support.
Okay. All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. So now we'll open up the first round of public comment. If we could stick to agenda items only, address the chair, and be nice. I say that every time. It's worked so
It's
far.
better than Tim who said lock your door.
So if anybody has any public comment,
Well, I don't know what the agenda is, so I'll have to kind of wing it a little bit. I know what last month's agenda was.
My name is Steve Yukas. I live at 8502 Ridge Road. Just a couple of brief comments. Concerning Ridge Road proper, there was something about an administrative study regarding sidewalks being put on both sides of Ridge Road, is that correct? In the near future, going south?
yes.
I'm just gonna speak for myself. I don't want a 5-foot wide sidewalk in my front yard, period. I see the same half a dozen joggers, been seeing them for years. Half of them I know by name, so I don't really see the upside to that. Frankly, the thought of kids walking to school is absurd in this day and age. I think it's a pipe dream. Second note on Ridge Road, I mentioned this once before. We've got to have more enforcement of the speed limit on that road. It is tough to back out of your driveway when you live just north of Green Road in the little swale there. People coming from the stop sign north, from January Court south, are double the speed limit easily. When I brought this up at the meeting a few years ago, I was told, well, when we pull them over, it's your neighbors. I don't care. If they keep over my wife, I don't give a rat's whatever who it is. You need to slow them down, period. That's all I've got. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Candace, and I would like to agree with Steve. I walk that way. I have 3 different routes that I walk, and I walk 6 miles. There's nobody in this town doing 25 miles an hour, and they're all flying, and I know our deputies can't be everywhere, but it is kind of getting out of control, and respectfully, it's happening in our own neighborhood. And I know I know we're in a day and age where people aren't paying attention, but, you know, eventually somebody's gonna get hit, or there's gonna be something that happens. Maybe it won't, but I've noticed it too, so I just wanted to concur. I've seen it, and I know people whiz by me, and I jump off on the shoulder, you know, just to get out of their way. But it does surprise me that, do you not know that there was a sign you just passed that there was 25? So I know the deputies, I've talked to Deputy Seeley a couple of times. He's trying his best just in town, trying to stop and just provide gentle warnings and, you know, just reminders to people that, you know, hey, remember, you know, it's only 25 through here. I know he's doing his best, but it is happening, and it's happening all over, even in the little subdivisions. So just my 2 cents.
I'm Linda Roughton from Auburn Circle. I would just like to agree with them, but I'm not sure about Ridge Road, but even through town, I set my cruise control. I'm literally at 35 and 25 because the people are going crazy. And I've experienced myself and somebody else has experienced people passing in the left-hand turn lane on M15. Seriously, and with the traffic, and I always am going slower. I'm not even doing 45, so they're probably ticked because I'm not doing 45. But they're passing, and you know, people are coming out of the Dollar General, out of the nursing home. It's a serious thing waiting to happen. And the only other thing I wanted to mention is we used to get the copy of the minutes here and the check register copies at the meetings. We didn't last month, and now I don't know if they're available online for us to look at or not. So,
Somebody handed me their copy.
No, you got it. Oh, thank you, I appreciate it.
And last one, respectfully, it seems stop signs are optional. Yay! I get to go through them too. Woo-hoo. So that's another issue.
Good afternoon, my name is Leo Foley. I live at 8401 Green Ridge Drive. I'm one of those joggers that goes by Steve's house. You know, I echo his comments. Me and my wife and Buzz, my car, going too fast on more than one occasion. But that's not the main reason I came tonight. Also, I'm an attorney. I practice in my office in Flint. And many of you may know that in 2020, 2 of our circuit court judges are going to be term limited out. They're going to not be able to run again because they've exceeded the age of 7. In 2020, I'm going to be running for a circuit court judge. And right now, I'm basically I decided to say hometown for about last, but I'm going to every township meeting to learn a bit more about the county. I've learned a little about Goodrich. I've lived here about 4 years now, even though I grew up in Fenton. But I'll be around. If anybody wants to chat with me at all, I'll stick around after the meeting, and I'll be back in more over next.
Sorry, what was your name, sir?
Leo Foley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Vance? Just remember agenda items only, folks, please.
Yes, Norm Bass, 10150 Hawthorne Ridge. What I'd like to do is present to the board to open up the avenues, okay, that we could bring in different engineers to make a presentation here. We've had the same engineer for a number of years, and I'm not going to get into everything, okay, but I feel for the best of the community or whatever, it creates competition. It also creates maybe design, you know, on the ball, you know, if they have more competition. And I'd like the board to okay that maybe different engineers could make presentations before the board, and maybe they can come in and talk to all of us, okay? And we can open up our eyes of maybe it's time to make a change here as far as some of the engineering that has taken place here over the years. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, well then, that will conclude our first public comment. So now we move on to reports. And the first is our treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasury report dated February 11, 2019.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the treasurer's report, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. So now we move on to authorizing the bills and transfers. That's our yellow page under tab 8B.
Motion to approve check register for the village dated 1/1 of 2019 through 1/31 of 2019.
Support.
Any discussion?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Check number 11-803, Wade Trim, for $1,600 to the Goodrich Commons improvement. I don't remember discussing that at Parks and Rec. And could we have more information?
It's part of the grant. We get reimbursed through the grant for that. It's some of the work that they've been doing.
For the grant, is that part of our 20%?
Yes, it's part of our $27,000 grant we got.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, anything further? Okay, so, all in favor of the authorization of the bills and transfers, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries. Then, now we'll move on to the administrator / clerk. Anything you would like to fill us in on?
Yes, I have a few things. Last week, we had the issue with the cold weather, and they had a state of emergency. So all the waste collecting businesses ceased collecting yard waste and recycling that week. And I asked, Republic Services is the one that handles the village of Goodrich, and I asked them via email, what was I to tell my residents? And they sent me an email and said to tell them that they would do double the services the following week. Now, double the services meant to me, and I interpreted it, that they would be picking up the recycling and the yard, the garbage. And I asked them if that was indeed the case. They said, yes, it was. I said, okay, so this is what I and the ladies in the office told our residents. So the week comes, the next week comes, and I'm starting getting phone calls on Thursday that the recycling was not picked up. In some cases, some of the garbage wasn't picked up. So I emailed them again, and I was told that I had misinterpreted their email. And I was very upset with it, and I said, double the services means double the services to me. They didn't agree. I said, well, fine then. Our monthly bill, then, when we get our monthly bill, we will be deducting 1 week for the garbage pickup and for the recycling, because we do not receive the service. So double the service, no service, double coming off the bill. So I haven't heard from them since about that, but I have been getting a lot of phone calls that some of the, especially Dutch Road, some reason they weren't picking them up for almost 4 weeks. And I don't know if they got a new driver. I had to email them twice about that. Finally, they got it picked up today at noon. Finally got that resolved, but it took a lot to get that. So I'm not real pleased with the response time on some of this, and I understand we just entered into this contract. I found the contract, I'm going to review the contract, and then I would like to meet with a couple of you about this, because this is not good. I don't like the service we're getting.
Right now, and also Sherry had copied me on some of those emails, just so you guys are all aware. She came flat out and asked the question, will recycling be picked up Wednesday? And her response was, Yes, garbage, double services. So she came flat out and asked the question for them to come back and say, oh, it was a total misunderstanding. Well, when you tell somebody yes, that they're gonna do something, the assumption is they're gonna come and pick it up. So, she did do everything that she could, and, yay you for going back and.
I did apologize to the residents on our website about it, and I do apologize, I'm sorry.
Did they respond to you about getting the money back for that 1 week or no?
No, they have not.
Okay.
I haven't heard
And is
from
there any, and I gotta review the contract, but is there any stipulations that says state of emergency, they won't run no matter what?
I don't know if it's in the contract, but that's what they chose to do.
Okay.
Now I have some good news. The NDOT Small Urban Program that I sent in 2 requests for grants. Well, I'm happy to tell you that we received both grants.
Nice.
The Small Urban Program project is for the years 2021 and 2023. Goodrich is on an odd year. I tried to get to 2021, but we didn't get 2021. Atlas got 2021. The Genesee County Road Commission will receive $375,000 for the Gale Road project from Green Road to McClandish Road. I'm not sure what that entails, but they got 2021. We don't get it until 2023. Now, that's good because, Shannon, you were concerned about some of the matching grants that we have to do. We do have to not match, but there's a percentage that we have to put in, and that we have $35,000 we have to put in. But we've got until 2023 to save that money to do that. But what we are going to get, the Village of Goodrich is going to receive $100,000 for Eagle Road West project from Seneca to the Kersley Bridge. That'll be resurfacing, guardrail, all that good stuff there. And then the Village of Goodrich will receive $50,000 for sidewalk along M15, the businesses there, sidewalk renovation, school crossing and pavement marking improvements. And then the Village of Ortonville is going to receive $225,000 for their road project on Oakwood. So that was very good. I was very happy about that. Then I am still working with the Road Commission to put a traffic light in front of the fire department, which would be controlled by them as needed. It would be flashing orange all the time. Other than that, if they needed it, then they'd be able to activate it. In your information in your packet, the DPW, our guys gave you a map of the village streets throughout the whole village that are going to need line striping. And we'll be bringing back some quotes to the council for their approval for that. I also provided you with a list of land splits and combinations that were approved, that were done in 2018, that were approved for 2019 by the county. The land combinations are done administratively through myself and through the assessor for the Atlas Township and the village. The land splits are normally taken before the Planning Commission, and evidently there was a land split that was given to our assessor by the previous administrator last year that I didn't know about, but he went ahead and did it, and it was the county approved it. It evidently didn't go before the Planning Commission. Why, I don't know. It was back in June, I guess, of last year. But anyways, I gave you a list of what was approved. And there's also some applications for, there's an application for Parks and Rec, and there's a Planning Commission application and one for zoning. Because we have 2 openings on the planning and we have 1 on the zoning. And then I am getting quotes for the master plan update from different engineering companies. I'll be bringing in quotes for that. The copier was installed in the new stamp machine and was installed, and we're very happy. Thank you very much. And that's all I had to say.
All
Any
right.
questions?
You said quotes for the master plan update?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I think we need to get some quotes. The last company was LS&L, it's now called Safe Build.
Right.
But there's some other engineering companies, there's Wade Trim, and there's a couple other ones that, I'm just gonna get some quotes and see what they can do for us.
Yeah, no, I mean, that goes along with what residents spoke about earlier, so, even if it's small changes,
Mhm.
Sometimes they're uncomfortable, but sometimes they can be good. So
And that's all I have.
that's all I have. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You've been a busy bee. Okay, street administrator, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Please excuse my tardiness. It's hard to be here at 6 when I don't get out of work till 6. Props to the DPW guys. They've been doing a bang-up job on the roads with everything that they've had going on. As cold as it's been, the salt doesn't work when it is, I believe it's below 20 degrees. The salt's pretty much ineffective, but they've been doing the best that they can with keeping them scraped up. There's been a couple of times that on my way into work at 5:30 in the morning, I've called them, and if they weren't already here, they were already on their way here to take care of stuff before traffic heading into work got real busy. So they've been doing a great job. Long hours in the trucks and in the plows trying to keep the roads clean. That's about all I got.
All right.
I need to add one thing if I could, please.
Sure.
The DPW man talked with me this morning, they are going to need to get some quotes. They need tires for the pickup truck, and they're going to need a couple of tractor tires. So I'll be coming back with some quotes on those. And we're looking at probably around $1,000 for the truck and probably $1,000 for the 2 tractor tires. So we're looking at a couple of $1,000 there. So I'll bring quotes back next meeting.
Code enforcer? Anybody? No, okay. I haven't heard anything.
I've had some complaints about some political signs still being up and around, not being pulled and.
Really?
Yeah, but Mr. Lucic is on vacation right now, so
Oh.
I couldn't contact him about it.
Okay.
But I did have some complaints, and I will forward those to him as soon as he gets back.
Okay, I know I don't know where they're at with the house on Green Road. Not yet.
Again,
No,
I don't either. Mhm.
Yeah, but,
Mhm.
yeah, there's been, complaints about that too, but I know he was working, trying to resolve that issue. So, okay, and, Parks and Recreation. You wanna speak about that?
Sure. I'm sure a lot of you saw in the paper, we got a lot of great press for the Friendship Path update. We did have the ribbon cutting ceremony, and it was really nice, it went well. And then after the ceremony, everybody took a walk through the woods, so that was nice to see the community walking through the woods. And we also went over that the mitten and hat donation went very well. We received a lot of those. We did have the banner purchased for the Parks and Rec that was put up at the downtown Christmas where the hat and mitten donation was. She was absent. We welcome Sherry Moore to the Parks and Rec Committee. And there was discussion regarding rules and guidelines that what should be followed, and a subcommittee was made up to do some more research and to look into that. And that was about it.
Shannon,
Yeah.
may I report on the subcommittee?
Sure, yes.
Yes, it was a subcommittee formed from Parks and Rec, and we met last week, and there was 3 of us, and our job is to look at other rules. The state has done a wonderful job of laying things out, and Sherry Moore found a website for the state Parks and Rec. So Sherry Kadovic and I met. Our instructions were to come up with guidelines, rules that we would bring back to the council, and the council would vote on them, and we would amend them. We're talking about state rules, Robert's Rules of Orders, And the Parks and Rec, it was decided at the last meeting that we wouldn't meet until we got this straightened out. So we're not going to meet this month. We'll be coming back to the council and hopefully next month. And by then, we'll have something to show.
Okay, so Parks and Rec as a whole is not going to meet, or just the,
No, Parks, well, correct, as a whole.
okay,
No decisions can be made, no business can be conducted because we weren't following proper.
right, because you guys
Rules.
want to get rules all in order.
Right.
No, I think that's a smart idea. I know, Katie's been pushing that for, gosh, where are you, Katie? I don't know how long she's been pushing for it, but, oh, we got Mr.
Mr. Katie.
Yeah, it's been pushing for that for a while, so hopefully that's some good news. Again, sometimes it comes slow, but they're making headway. So anything else, Parks and Rec guys?
I know we have someone that's applying, right?
There's an application in the back of your packet that someone did apply for the.
And someone just quit or resigning, Sam? Tony, the applicant just quit? Okay, so we have a spot open, right? So we want
I think they
to...
Should we hold off until there's
Yeah, I don't-
rules and stuff established, since no new business or whatever can happen? I think that's probably,
Yeah, I just don't know how to do any more of that.
right, no, we won't. Well, we still have them, so everybody hang tight. We'll get there. Might be on the slow boat, but we'll get there. And I will make a note, don't forget. Okay, so I believe Parks and Rec is over with, so building activity report. It's nothing, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's it.
So, and then, so there's nothing there. The budget report, I know we are gonna have to be, setting up some budget workshops. I believe that's later in the agenda, so we'll be talking about, setting up dates, so hopefully, everyone kind of took a look at that. But there's, the budget reports, so, does anybody have anything to talk about budget reports?
Thank the administrator for providing this on a monthly basis. It's, if you collect them all, you can see right where we're at on a monthly basis instead of every 6 months through the year.
I know, I like that too. Okay, so since there was nothing on the building department report, there's really nothing to say yea or nay to. Then the budget report, if there's no further discussion on that, we will move to unfinished business, which there is nothing, no unfinished business. And now we're going to move to the, we adjusted the agenda while you were absent for a minute to include this 10-1A, which was, we have the Good Times in Goodrich folks here who wanted to speak about that prior to all of this. I didn't want to make them sit through the whole thing. So you want to come on down.
It's not really- it's not really-
Oh yeah, we get to listen to you talk.
It's the only reason I
It
called.
doesn't get old.
Hi, I'm Jenny McKenzie, for anybody who doesn't know me. This is Jim Gray. This year's festival is on the 3rd of August. We have to put before the council our plan, what we need and all that kind of stuff, which we'll get to you in the next week or so. We just want to make sure that we could, get the park for that date. And the Friday before it. And
You're doing the whole weekend this time, I heard?
Okay.
Okay.
For the record,
Did you?
we're exploring
different community events for the weekend.
Nice.
We'd like to lay it out next meeting for you, some dates we're planning, some ideas we have, and how we can grow, collaborate with different groups and different parks and recreation, how we can make this work. We are looking at it, yes,
Yes, so,
All right.
so we just wanted to get in.
for the record.
For the record. Yeah, and we're also sort of planning some other things during the course of the year to sort of bring some attention to downtown Goodrich and that kind of stuff. But we have to kind of get our collective heads around that. We probably will have a bigger impact on downtown Christmas this year. Chamber of Commerce is struggling, unfortunately, to be able to afford to put it on. So we're going to sort of stick our little noses into that one too. So that's kind of where we're at. So we just thought we'd pop in and, you know, let you know that you'll be hearing from us in the next little bit. So for next meeting we can get some on the agenda properly and give you a list of, you know, what we want, what we would like, what our wish list is.
Demands.
Huh?
Demands.
I'm the least demanding person.
I like wish lists.
All right.
Wish list.
I like wish
But
lists.
we're gonna put dates in front of you, what we're hoping to accomplish, and we can go from there. But I think we're aggressive in some of the things we'd like to do. We're making some headway as far as a group and the help we're getting, so we're happy the direction we're going.
So yeah, well, that's about it. If anybody's got anything else to add into it.
Is there anything on the drain that's gonna affect the festival
Oh,
this
yeah.
year?
That's the part.
It is, it's going through, we just got the plans, and our building inspector has to look through them, but it is happening.
Okay, so
Can
which
we move up? Can we move it to uptown town if we close down the
The
street?
festival?
the festival out, we could, but here's our big but, is that the car show last year had in excess of 250 cars there. I don't know where we put them uptown. This year we're going to exceed
More.
300 and something. We've grown into the third or second largest car show in Michigan.
Wow, thank
In
you.
Michigan.
In Michigan, yeah, exactly.
Congratulations. That's
So,
impressive.
exactly. So if we're always open to like discussion, but we're just going to have to keep an eye on that kind of stuff. And we'd also be struggling to put the beer and spirit tent
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Right.
The restaurants uptown aren't going to want us to put it in the main street of town.
Right.
You know, and we're very mindful of the support that we get from the businesses in town, so I don't want to,
Right.
you know, impose, you know, if we hide it in the park, it's kind of, you know, out of sight, out of mind kind of business, so, and we can't put it in the schools, so we're just gonna have to, I don't know what their problem with that is,
Our
but, you know.
schools and their rules.
So
Exactly.
you said the plan has been put through, is there any?
They sent the plans to us,
Mhm.
and I forwarded them on to the building inspector for his review, but yeah, they called me the other day and asked me if we received it. I said, yeah, and they said, any questions? So far, no, I don't have any.
So have bids been put out for who's gonna actually do the work and in a time frame?
I believe it has been, I'll let you know.
Okay,
Call me tomorrow.
all right.
You
Thank
need it
you.
for mapping purposes, obviously, so yeah.
That's, yes,
Well,
yeah, we have no interest in who's doing the work.
Hopefully
or-
by next meeting, we'll have we can give them an idea of scope of time frame.
That would be great, so at least then we can make some, you know, have a backup plan if we need one. Okay.
You can use my yard, my house. for it.
I'm sure your wife would be very excited
I don't
by
have
that.
one. We'll go figure. But those cars can be there if you want.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
all right, well, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate your time.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now, next on the agenda is to move into closed session to discuss attorney-client privileged communication in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, MCL 15.268H. So,
We need a motion motion?
Yep, we need a motion.
Motion to move to closed session.
Support.
All right, so we will be back.
But we need a roll call vote.
Oh, we need roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Mataro,
Yes.
Mr. Baraco,
Yes.
Mr. McAbee,
Yes.
Ms. McCafferty,
Yes.
motion carries.
Did you say you?
No,
Oh.
I'm a yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you get here? You weren't here earlier.
President McCafferty, I just want to make sure that the motion that was made, and the clerk is getting it down for the stated purpose for going into closed, that should
Okay.
be part of the motion and actually read
I'm sorry.
as part of the motion.
To move
Okay.
to closed session to discuss.
Are you talking about the whole
You have to get a reason why you're going to closed session.
Right.
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 Now, you mentioned what was next on the agenda, but the motion didn't have that, unless the
Okay,
clerk was just going to add that.
so,
You want the second closed session?
No,
yeah.
I'm still talking about the first one.
Okay, the
the
first one.
first one, the first one, well, do we say like what it's in regards to?
Let me do this. Let me do
Okay,
this.
yes, please, help me
Mr.
out.
Light, if you would read A.
Oh, okay.
Motion to go into closed session to discuss attorney-client privilege communication in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, MCL 15.268H. Excuse me, H.
That's the motion. I suggest we have the second, and this is a clarification, it's not an amendment to the motion, but I would like to have a second to it and then another roll call, please.
Okay.
So, do you want support for that? right?
Yes.
Okay, support.
And then another roll call.
Yes, please.
Mr. Light,
Yes.
Mr. McAbee,
Yes.
Ms. McCafferty,
Yeah,
Mr. Mataro,
Yes.
Mr. Baraco,
Yes.
motion carries.
Then you want the next one?
Well, it's up to you. We've got two items on the agenda for closed session. We can go into closed, you can come back into open and go into closed again, or you can take the second item and have a vote on going into closed session, and we can do all of it at once.
Let's do that.
okay, let's do that instead of back and forth, back and forth. I kind of like
It would
that.
speed things along for the residents as well. So now for this one, I'd like somebody to read it exactly as it reads on here as part of your motion, please.
Motion to go into closed session to discuss pending litigation, SIDGE v. Village of Goodrich, Genesee Circuit Court Case Number 2018-111213-CZ, in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, MCL 15-268, small e, as an open meeting would have a detrimental financial effect on the litigating settlement position of the village.
Second.
Another roll call.
Roll call?
Roll call, please, sorry. I'm still new, how long do I get to say that?
Mr. Baraco,
Yes.
Mr. Mataro,
Yes.
Ms. McCafferty,
Yeah,
Mr. McAbee,
Yes.
Mr. Light,
Yes.
motion carries.
Yeah, the one, no, the one on the top. It has a little note on there that's right there, yes. If you have to press and hold.
Yeah.
It's not working? Oh, there it is, okay, thank you.
There's no way I'm going to get this thing started again.
or is Pat going?
Well, she takes
Yeah. All right, so we're all back, so now to move on to item,
gotta
We
reconvene.
gotta make a
Oh,
motion to
oh.
go and resume normal session.
Reconvene.
okay,
Motion to reconvene.
Second.
okay, all in favor to reconvene, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, we are reconvened. So now moving on to the public hearing to consider adoption of proposed ordinance amendment civil infraction tickets. So, this is the public meeting, so we can have any public comments, concerns, Oh,
No.
sorry. Are we loud enough?
No?
No? Do I have to talk like, no, really? Okay, because usually I'm like over the top loud,
No, I can
so.
hear you. but
Oh,
the
okay.
other people like doing it.
Okay.
Awesome.
It just takes a minute.
Yeah, it'll take a couple.
Okay, that works. Okay, so, any public comment on the ordinance stuff?
Hi, Jacob Vick. I just got a quick question. The village building inspector, I guess I'm a little confused. I see the sheriff's deputy and the village ordinance enforcement officer. What kind of citation would a building inspector write?
It would be the same thing as basically a traffic ticket. It's a civil infraction ticket that he'll be issued, from my understanding of it.
Okay, but when,
Ordinance violation.
Ordinance violation to get,
Well, no, I take that back, because ordinance violation would include misdemeanors as well, because there are some of the ordinances that are misdemeanors.
right, but your building inspector normally is going to come back and write out and say, hey, you didn't have a permit or something of that nature, and you have to go follow your permit and whatnot for it.
I'm sorry.
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
We're too,
Right.
we're too close to it.
I know.
yeah.
Come on now, let's keep it a little clear.
So your building inspector, right, if he sees that your building, say a pole barn without a permit or
Right.
something of that nature, would go out and say, hey, you need a permit, you gotta come in and write a permit. I guess I'm asking, what authority is he gonna have outside that scope of his work to write some kind of a civil infraction, say my grass is 18 inches tall? You know what I'm saying?
The building inspector?
You have that
Yeah,
on here.
it's
the
on
village
here,
building
the
inspector.
village building inspector. Unless prohibited by state law. Oh, there we go.
I mean, I can understand the, sheriff deputy and the village ordinance enforcement, because you haven't, that's why we have the ordinance enforcer. Like I said, I don't understand why this would be included in the scope of work for the building inspector. That's my question. You're welcome.
That's I think that's a legit
Yeah, I'm not,
concern.
I'm trying to think of a scenario that the building inspector would issue outside of code enforcement.
Right, because you got to look at, he's already getting paid for doing the service. Is he now going to be asking for, other payment for going outside of what he's normally doing?
As I'm thinking, I can't think of a scenario that he would need,
Yeah.
Right, maybe.
that he would need that ability.
You could eliminate, take them out
Okay.
of it.
Okay, thank you. Any other, comments, concerns? Okay, well, that will, close the public hearing. Now consider adoption of the proposed ordinance amendment civil infraction tickets. Should we read all of this?
No, you don't have to. You can, I provided copies for the audience. But if you want to, go ahead and adopt this with the
With the change of getting rid
amendment
of
of
the building inspector?
removing the village building inspector from the amendment.
Shannon,
Yes.
are we at the point where we're asking for comments, or are you still discussing? I don't want to let this slide without making comments.
Oh, no, we won't. We won't. Typically, it's after a motion is on the floor that we begin making comments. So, but, we can do comments before. I don't have a problem with that. Anybody else got a problem with talking about it prior to? No? Yeah, okay, shoot, what you got?
Well, my question is why now, for one thing? I gotta tell you, I have a lot of problems with it. We've been here before. If we are having a problem, our code enforcement hasn't been here half of the year. There's no reports turned in. Hasn't been here in person. I believe it was here last month, and it was the first time in about 2 or 3 months. If this is to deal with 2 or 3 items, which I kind of hear that's what it's about, I think that's a bad avenue, because there's a couple things that could happen, and based on living here a long time, I can write down who's going to get tickets and who won't. We've been there. A good example is right across the street at the old Yellow Dog. 2 businesses were there. We're in and out. We get somebody from out of town moved in, and all of a sudden we're on them. They're not in compliance. That's not an accident. They wanted, it was going to cost them like $12,000. Well, Jan's Sports Shop had been there. Antique had been, 2 antique consignment shops had been there. And the 4th business moves in, and all of a sudden they're not in compliance. And I said at the time, I wasn't on the council then, I got up and I said, are you going to enforce every single issue in town that's not in compliance? You're going to start a war. You go down the street and you start ticketing people, and they're going to look at their neighbors and say, hey, wait a second, that person over there's got more votes than I've got, or whatever it is. I think if you've got problems, and I think this is basically 2 problems in town that this is addressing, it can be handled other ways. One of the issues is someone's running a business out of their house. They've got semis coming in. That's not proper for a neighborhood. But yet, right down the street, you got somebody running a bump and paint business out of their garage. They have trucks, or they have delivery vehicles coming to their yard. But who are we talking about? I think in the past, my own situation, I've had 3 enforcement officers come and say, no problem. Well, that's not good enough. You gotta get after Doug. I question the timing. We had a problem with a tarped house down there that went on for years. I don't know what it was, 3 years at least. And the only people that made money off of that were the lawyers going back and forth, signing papers and sending it back and forth. And it was suggested, I know it was because I brought it up once, and other people did, consult the health department. There's rats in there, there's mice in there. It's a nuisance. And we went after it as a blight issue, not a health issue. And it was really strange why we kept batting that back and forth. It was a bad eyesore. And finally the person involved took it down of their own accord. But I think we need to look at why we're doing this, because either this council has to have a really tight control on it. When's the last time we saw a list of what is being worked on? When's the last time we got a written report? I think it's just a can of worms. If we need to decide that, if we have some problems, then we need to look into them. I think that could be done a couple different ways. Certainly, I don't want to sit here and have people come in and plead their case I think that this venue is not the right avenue. But I know one time there were tickets issued, about 30 tickets were issued one night. And some people went and paid, some people didn't. Went and challenged, I think would be the right word, the court in Davison. And the court threw every single one of them out. And I just don't, unless we get a track record, decide what we're going to do, I think it's a can of worms, and I'll vote against it. Thank you.
I have a slightly different view of this, and it's, we have rules and we have ordinances for a purpose, and if they're not followed and they're not adhered to, then why have them? And I think that having this type of ability to issue tickets to say that some people get them and some people won't, I think that's not a fair statement. The sheriff's office can issue tickets, and if they're not doing it, are we questioning their integrity and not following through with our rules? I would like to think that they have some type of, code of conduct that they follow, and that they would be true to that. Had we had something like this, maybe the blight issues wouldn't have lasted as long as they did, and people, having to deal with the tarped house and other, mice, rats, whatever. But I think we have a set of rules, and if we're not going to follow them, then why do we have ordinances? Why do we have any of it if we're just going to let it slide and not have some type of accountability at every aspect? If my grass is too long, you don't always have to issue a ticket. A warning could be issued that a lot of communities do, or you're issued a warning, and if you don't have it done by X date, well then you're subject to get a ticket. Some things don't necessarily have to be battling back and forth with your neighbors. A simple conversation with your neighbor instead of, hey Tim, your grass is getting kind of long there. Do you need some help? Do you need, I can send one of the kids over if you need assistance mowing it. It doesn't always have to be an argument or a battle between neighbors. But I think having rules and a way to enforce them is a society of compliance, and not a society of, well, I'm going to do it because I know, the sheriff, average Joe, and he's not going to give me a ticket. Or I don't think that's a fair statement to question the integrity of the people who are going to be enforcing the rules that should be enforced.
Well, I think that's exactly the point. I'm questioning integrity.
Right, and
That's exactly the point. You
and
need to tell me, we're going to write a ticket for a thriving business downtown that has a noise. They've been talked about noise issues before.
If it's a recurrent problem, they should probably have that issue, if it's a recurrent problem. I mean, there's the letter of the law, and there's the spirit of the law. By the letter of the law, if the ordinance says if your grass is more than 3 inches tall, we can issue you a ticket. Are we going to get down there and measure every single blade of grass and issue that ticket if we find one that's 3 1/8 inch tall? Probably not. If somebody's grass is 6, 7, 8 inches tall, they haven't been on vacation, they're a continuing problem, should our code enforcement officer have the ability to issue a citation based on that? I think they should. It's only going to streamline things. It's only going to cut costs, because now instead of taking this to the village attorney to issue a ticket, to follow up in court with it, I think it's only going to streamline the process. I'm not completely disregarding what you're saying. Is there the potential for abuse? Just like any police officer, just like any, yeah, there's the potential. And that I guess from a council standpoint, from an officer standpoint, that's something that we, Sherry, residents are going to have to regulate.
Well, I like the idea of neighbor to neighbor. I think that's
Absolutely.
that's the best way to handle it. I would say start with warnings. Work your way up. You know they mean business.
I would agree.
But I still,
But
I'll write you a list of who will be enforced against.
We have to give our code enforcement officer some teeth. Because what good is it going to be if you're on your 10th warning and you know he's not going to be able to do anything about it?
I wouldn't say 10. But I think out of the get-go.
I'm just throwing that
Yeah,
out there,
yeah.
some arbitrary.
Out of the get-go, I think it, if it's not handled, it'll be a major problem.
You know, if to put a different spin on it, if I stop somebody for drunk driving and I give them a ride home, if I stop somebody the next night, the same person for drunk driving,
yeah.
and I give them a ride home and slap them on the wrist, eventually you have to hold their feet to the fire, and you have to have some teeth, and you have to say enough is enough. You know, drunk driving and a ride home is probably a poor example because that doesn't happen anymore, but that's just the first thing that came to mind. You know, a speeding ticket, you stop the same kid driving through town at 60 miles an hour a half a dozen times. Probably by the second or third time, I'm writing.
My original comment about is this a problem? So are we having a major problem with this?
But Doug, what I hear you saying that is in the past, there might have been some picking and choosing, but what I see is this is a move forward to avoid that. And,
Well, let's get a track record first.
let's go forward, and, you know, if there's a change that needs to be put in place for the system, it sounds like it needs correcting, let's move forward and let's do that. And I think this is, right here, a step in that right direction. We can't go by what has been, we have to go by what will be.
Do you have a question, Jim?
And we'll be right back here next year, same situation.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I didn't hear if
It's
you
a
guys
negative
closed
attitude.
the public hearing or not, or there was no public hearing.
Yeah, we closed the public.
Oh, we
hearing.
did? I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, no, now we're,
Send me a
no,
note.
yeah, no, we've moved to, we've moved to continue adoption proposed ordinance. Yeah.
I mean, I think we should, my 2 cents is definitely have something in place. I mean, it has to have some kind of structure, you know, like you were saying, like a warning, like one. We have to have a color chart, like it does at school. They turn to red and they get a ticket.
Right, and this ordinance doesn't say because you have long grass, you're going to get a ticket. This says that our code enforcer will have the ability to issue a ticket. He will also have the ability to issue a warning. And, you know, to Doug's point, then yes, show us a report of your activity. I mean, if we've noticed that, you know, Shannon McCafferty has had violation after violation after violation, and still, she just keeps getting warnings, well, okay, we've got a problem.
That's the first person I thought of.
Yeah, and, because I don't like cutting the grass, but, there should be, like, if this is adopted, then, yeah, a report of how many warnings did you
I was
issue,
just
how
gonna
many,
say, I think
how
we
many
need to
tickets?
Just a
see
structure.
an accountability report.
Right, just like the,
To include warnings, formal warnings, as well as citations issued for our review.
right. And then, you know, we've got that, and, you know, there's, you know, we can keep track of Shannon McCafferty and how many warnings is she getting for the same thing before a ticket is issued, or, you know, how come Joe got a ticket, but Shannon only got a warning, and Joe never got any warnings. So, I mean, there's a lot of potential here to make the rules applicable to the people that are breaking them. If you're not breaking them, this means nothing to you. If you've got constant problems of blight, debris, long grass, you know, your roof's flying off, you're tarping it, you're making your neighborhood look bad, well, then something's got to give, because my going to my neighbor saying, you know, you got to really shingle the roof. Oh yeah, you know, we just got the black tarp. It's going to keep the house warm now. Sun. You know, that's not acceptable. But to have an avenue to hold people accountable to the rules, I think is the right way to go. So
Would you like me to take this back and rewrite it and include a procedural list prior to the issuance of the ticket, where they would give a warning and give a 10-day or a 2-week warning, and then if it's not complied, then the ticket's issued? Would you like me to include that in this?
That'd be a good idea.
Why don't we postpone it and let me rewrite it and bring it back? That would be best. I'll put that in there, and then you guys can run it by the attorney, make sure it's all.
Okay, so we need a
Maybe if we could
motion.
include something with the reporting system.
Sure, and that
for
needs to report.
Who's
whoever
been
is
given
monthly
warnings for
report,
what
yes,
and how many?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Or we can just postpone this to the next meeting in March
Thank you.
11th.
Okay, so I
Any
will,
motion for that?
I'll make a
Yes.
motion
Okay.
to postpone the consideration of adoption of proposed ordinance amendment civil infraction
For
ticket
revision.
for revision, to the March 11th regular council meeting.
Support.
Voice vote.
And, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Okay, next, is to set some dates for budget workshops. Those are always fun times.
Okay, I provided you calendars, blank calendars for February, March, and April and May. I would suggest at least 4, maybe, and then we can always, cancel one of them if we don't want to do it, but I would get some in there.
Right, by the May meeting, we, need to have a budget submitted to the clerk. By the June meeting, we have to resolve a budget for the next fiscal year. So just dates to remember.
This has no bookings, no one's booked these offices.
Are all the dates on the calendar open that you provided?
As far as I'm aware of.
Okay. That's
I'll let
good.
you know if it isn't. Let's just pick some, pick some.
Shannon likes mornings. No.
I do when I'm getting up to get ready for my regular job.
Saturdays, anybody?
Saturdays.
Only Tuesday. I'm, just so you don't, I'm free on anything, so whatever you guys decide, don't wait on me, so whatever you want.
In the past, it has been easiest for people to meet, at 6 o'clock in the evening. I'm okay with, those times. I don't know if anybody else has issues with those times, but, now would be the
Tim, how
time.
about you?
Pardon?
Tim, would that be hard for you to get here at 6? Get on
Depending
at
on
6?
the dates I'm gonna throw out, I won't be working.
Okay, because I was, I mean, we
Feel
could
free.
postpone them to, you know,
I'm open, don't worry about it.
6:05.
What'd you say?
I said we could postpone them till 6:05
What
or,
about you, Wendy? You have to be at what time? What's the latest you need to be?
6 is good for me.
6 is good. So let's do 6 o'clock, so then what's good for
6 is
you,
good.
Tim? It's up to Tim what days he's available.
Right. So 6 o'clock works, like I said, the dates
The
that I'll
days you don't have to
throw,
work.
Okay.
the dates that I'll
So-
throw out will be days off.
okay, so throw out some dates.
How about March 27th or 8th?
The 27th or 8th, I will be out of town. I am gone, yep, I'm gone from March 21st through April 7th. So
March 18 or 19.
18 or 19, I can do either.
I cannot do the 19th.
Let's do the 18th since we're good at
Okay.
6 o'clock. So let's, March 18th, 6 o'clock, everyone?
Should we do 6 o'clock or you're free at 6 o'clock
I'm
that
free.
day? Okay.
Yes,
Are you okay on that day?
yes,
On
that'll
the
work.
18th?
No, I'll be in Wayne County.
Oh, you'll be
Okay,
in Wayne
18th's not
County.
good.
So, do you need a later time, or are you like all day and like all
If you're
night?
set on the 18th, then we got a later time, like 7.
I can do 7.
7?
So the 18th at 7?
Yep, I'm okay with 7.
Yes,
Okay, 1 down, 3 to go.
If that room is open.
We still have, the balance of February as well.
Valentine's Day?
I can't do Valentine's Day, I'm gonna be in Oxford. Or, I mean, we can just, you know, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, we can do it in April.
Right, in April, I'm good, let's see. The 8th is the regular meeting. I pretty much have every day in April open, from the 8th through the 30th.
Okay, how about you, Tim?
About the 10th or 11th.
Wendy?
I can do the 10th.
Wednesday the 10th.
Are we good at 6 o'clock on the 10th, or does anybody need a later time?
6 is fine for me.
Okay.
Okay, Tim, next date?
About the 16th. Tuesday the 16th.
April?
Yes.
Correct.
Give me a little time in between to make adjustments to whatever you guys want to do,
Alright.
so,
All right, how about the 24th then?
oh, that's better.
The 24th,
Okay.
I'm good with the 24th.
me too.
Wendy?
Yeah, Wendy's cool.
Yeah.
She had a lot of color in that thing.
She's a busy gal.
Yeah.
That'll be fine, yes.
6 o'clock?
Budget workshop, 6 o'clock.
6
All right.
o'clock.
One more.
Brings us to May.
What's in May?
I think we're gonna get down to the first session, to be honest with you, but
I mean, we might not need this
Right.
last one, but let's get it scheduled.
It'll have to be before the first, it'll have to be before May 13th. Because we have to have a budget by the May meeting presented to the clerk.
Oh, so what's that, May meeting?
The May meeting is the 13th.
Well, let's just go with the three we got. Let's
And then if we need
one,
a
we'll schedule
final one, we
Yeah.
can do it?
Yes.
Okay, so. That was painless.
Okay, so we've got March the 18th at 7 o'clock, April the 10th at 6 PM, and April the 24th at 6 PM, correct? Everyone?
Yep.
Yep, that works.
Got it. It will be posted as such, and I will get things ready.
March 18th, 7. That's good for you.
Okay, so, let's see where we at here.
Let's have a motion to set 'em.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for here. So I will make a motion to set the budget workshop meetings for March 18th, April 10th, and April 24th, all of 2019.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Okay, motion carries, all yeses. Okay, next is to authorize a payment of $1,083.89 to install network drops in 2 of the DPW offices and a modular patch panel. I'm understanding that the DPW would like to have, access to a computer in the DPW, workspace. And this would allow them to have system access.
Correct. And they will be using 2 of the replaced computers.
No.
So then, yeah, because then the residents will be able to email them directly with issues or whatever. You guys will be able to contact them. It's a good thing, folks. We need this.
The one thing I have a question about is, isn't there wireless down there now? Because I was told there's wireless internet in that building, and if that's the case, why not just buy a wireless adapter for like $25 for the PCs and call it good?
Well, we asked that question, and they, IT right, said it wasn't possible, that we needed to have this done.
Because I was told they were using an iPad down there on
Right, that has,
wireless and Wi-Fi, both.
Mhm.
But that's, I don't know, I mean, if we have computers and there is wireless down there, and it's a strong wireless connection, just buy a $25 adapter and they're good to go. You know, I don't feel like that's.
right, that's what my question was, because I thought the same thing, that they had, you know, and I know with the iPads and stuff that came with the service.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't
can
I don't know if I'll pick it up here or not.
you hotspot,
Yeah, I was gonna say hotspot.
can you hotspot one of those
They'll be on our
into
network.
providing internet?
But they would be on our network.
But
so-
you guys have wireless internet here, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we have wireless internet here, then let's just buy an adapter for the PC.
Into the network, what would they need access to the network outside of webmail? Like email?
Yeah, I don't know if this is like the Bluetooth 3.7 that you guys think?
Mhm, yes.
I mean, it's pretty strong, so.
You know, is it just email? I mean, I don't think that they do anything with the,
I'm not sure, I mean, they could do their report, they'd be able to type things up and, you know.
Yeah, they can still do that.
right, and they can do that as long as they have a, right, as long
No,
as
I
there's,
let them have the computers, I'm just saying, don't pay for all this cable stuff when they just need a little plug.
Which is an antique system, really.
Shannon, can I help on that just for 1 second?
I suppose I'll let you speak,
I
Mr.
appreciate
Vick.
it. Is
Yeah,
your-
no, just because you have experience in this.
Is your internet provider through Charter?
Yeah.
Okay, you could probably have a technician come out and do a wireless mapping and see what the signal strength is in there, and maybe get a range extender if you have to, and then they could just do the wires adaptation, not actually have to have physical cables ran. So I would do a mapping process first.
It's gonna be a fraction of the cost of what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's fine. Whatever you're gonna do.
Okay,
So we modify that to, so you get,
I would just say nix.
say, make a motion to decline.
Yes, especially, I mean, wireless is a capability now.
Yeah, so I make a motion to not approve the authorized payment to install network drops in the 2 offices pending investigation of wireless capabilities.
I'll support that.
But that sounded great. And because this has to do with money, let's do a roll call vote on this one, please.
Mr. McAfee?
So we're voting to the affirmative to not spend the money, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Light?
Yes.
Mr. Haverty?
Yeah.
Mrs. McCarroll?
Yes.
Mr. Baraco?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next is item G, authorize 2019 sweeping of roads 3 times per year, April, July, and October, all on the 15th day of the month. And do we only have, did we seek bids for this? Because there's just the one, and typically there's 3. I don't know how big of a demand there is for street sweeping.
Just, well, certain companies can do it, and this is the one that's always done it.
Gotcha.
So this is the one they went with. If you want me to go outside, I can do that.
Yeah, we're talking $11,000.
Yeah, my question on this is why $4,900 for October through November?
Leaves.
Leaves.
Oh, leaves, okay. See, when you don't cut your grass or anything, you forget these things.
Yes, I don't know what other companies do it, but yeah, let's try it.
Yeah, let's try and cut some costs.
Okay, so postpone.
Yep,
Just
so,
postpone.
yeah, I'll make a motion to postpone the sweeping of roads.
For additional quotes.
To get additional quotes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of postponing the street sweeping until we get more bids, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item is to receive a check for $11,037.62 to be placed in the local road fund. And this, from my understanding, is the second check that we've received?
It is, and I guess the question is the first one we went ahead and put it in the minor road budget. I don't know if you want to continue, if that's where you want both of them, or if you want them in the major. Okay.
I'd say the minor, wouldn't we?
I would say minor instead of major roads.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. You need a motion for that one?
Yeah.
To receive it, yes, please, and place in minor.
I make a motion to receive a check for $11,037.62 to be placed in the minor local road fund.
Support.
Okay, and because this also has to do with money, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Light?
Yes.
Mr. Haverty?
Yes.
Mr. Morrell? Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
That's up for a minute too. Mr. Morrell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Somebody.
Did I say
Yeah, they're sitting behind us now. Okay, and then consider 3 bid proposals for new village website design and management. A while back, 3 meetings ago, when we were discussing like what do we want to see, I had mentioned that like fixing the current website. And I sat down because I was bored. And here's, I gave one of these to Sherry already. This is our current website, if you want to pass that one down to Tim. This is our like, just screenshots of our current website, and for you and Doug. And just some recommendations to clean up our existing website. And when I talked to IT Right, because I had some questions about like the capability and what do we pay for now? And we pay currently $600 a year for them to administer our website, where we can send to them things to upload to the site. We can have them change tabs around and things like that. So I had asked them, on top of the quote that you provided, because they provided a quote to redesign the entire website for $4,000. What is included in the $600? What if I told you that I wanted this link removed because it doesn't work, or this tab added because I think it would have added benefit, or to reorganize, get rid of, and just make our website more user-friendly and I don't know, I guess, I want to say like kid-friendly, but that just goes with like ease of use. Like just keep it simple. We have a saying at work, it's called KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So these are just some of my suggestions, and from the conversations that I've had with IT Right, this would all be covered under the $600 per year that we pay them currently. So some of the things in clicking around, like there was a bad link. I mean, you click on it, it shows like error on page. It doesn't even come up anymore. And then just reorganizing some things. And so that's like my suggestions on page 1. The second page is just to kind of make like our home page a little bit more comprehensive. We have the ability to add, photos and such. Maybe take some historical type photos, get them from the Historical Society or wherever we can find them, because this page talks about, like our homepage talks about some of our history. Why not showcase that in the site itself? The third page is currently what the council and board information page looks like, and there's just the few names there. While suggested revision would be to include council, board, and board members. So that would include all of council, the administrative staff, the DPW staff, the zoning board, planning commission, where all the POCs would be right there on that page. The following page is meeting schedules and agendas, and currently it's very busy. It has the names of all the council members, it has the zoning, the planning. I would not go to meeting schedules and agendas to look for POCs. I would go to a tab that has like council and board members on it. So the revision would be to include like the council like agendas and minutes and packets. Zoning board, same thing, and planning commission, same thing. And Parks and Rec, we can include the same thing for the Parks and Rec. And these were just, again, suggestions for the current situation that we're in, that is cost conscious, I guess, would be a good term to use. So that was some of my homework. And to redesign the entire thing, to start like from square one as if we had no platform at all, would be $4,000 from IT Right. We currently pay them $600, and this would be included in the $600 fee that we pay them. So it would just be because the website itself isn't bad. It's just poorly organized.
Organization.
It's just poorly organized. So,
So they would make all these changes included in the 600.
yeah.
So,
that's-
just so I'm clear, so currently they maintain our website, right?
They maintain our website. If we want to add anything, we can either get a password, like the office staff can, like I think there's 2 people in the office that have access to make changes. They can get a password and make those changes themselves, or they can email the information that they would like to have uploaded to the site, and IT Right will do that because that's what we pay them to do.
Okay. I mean, I understand the cost savings part of it. Here's where my 2 cents is. So you want to keep a company that we've been paying $600 that has not successfully maintained a site per their guidance, and our site is not even ADA compliant. So they haven't even done that part of it until we actually have started to push buttons to get them to do so. So I have a problem with that. Secondly, I know Revise is a very well-known governmental friendly web developer that I think it is more expensive, but in the long run, with some of the features of being able for our residents to be able to choose to go paperless for billing and all the other features we can add on there, might save us some cost in the long run. I mean, I understand the savings, the cost of $600, but we've been paying them $600 for what now? Nothing. And we're not getting anything until we force them to do something.
But they can't do,
But they can at
they
least make
can't
sure.
do anything unless we direct them to do something. I mean, they can't upload something to the site if they don't have it. You know what I'm saying?
I know, I get your, I just don't know.
Information has been, the lack of updating.
I just,
Right,
I agree, they haven't been notified.
Like Sherry had sent them an email with, everything that she wanted to have loaded regarding the trash collection debacle, and that was done pretty seamlessly.
I mean, if we want to try that, I mean, I'm okay with trying that first. I just would like for us to step into some century of technology, because the site, and we've had complaints from residents since I've been on this council about how
Right.
hard it is.
Well, and that I think, in going through this, it was a nightmare. It really was, and that was because of poor organization. That I don't think that we can say is IT Right's fault. I think that's, hey, add this tab and put this here. That's by the direction of whoever was directing them to create this.
I mean, does someone have to tell them that we're not ADA compliant, or do they automatically know? I mean,
That would be a good question. I didn't even know that there was such
yeah,
a thing.
well, Verizon brought that to our attention, that we're not ADA compliant.
Okay.
So I don't know, like, we have to have
I mean,
something
we
to check
can
over,
always, we
you
can
know?
always ask them, ADA compliant. But I think just with, and why I did this is just, we have so many other things that we have to really consider paying for, and every dollar that we spend that we could have saved to be put someplace else to cover costs that we're questioning how we're going to fund. If this works,
Yeah. that's
then fantastic, we're already paying for it. If it doesn't work,
we can go somewhere else.
then we can, start looking into, these other bids, but I
So
would,
who's gonna keep them updated? I mean, whatever company we went with, somebody would have to keep them updated.
right,
It's my job to do that, it would be my job to do that.
Yeah.
Which one did you prefer?
I prefer revise, but if we need to save money, then we need to save money.
Yeah. Can we change the one we have now to accept payments?
That would be another question for them.
'Cause
I
think
didn't
that's-
ask about like accepting payments or anything.
I'll
I
ask
just,
the questions tomorrow, I'll ask those questions, and I'll
Yeah.
bring it back to the board.
Yeah.
Someone asked us that question a couple, well, at least once, twice maybe.
I don't know if we can do a workshop or a special meeting and have
Have them come and.
Have them come in.
because this third company here,
Yeah.
their proposal is all words. It has no pictures. It has, I don't know whether the whole site running on Java, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, I'd like to have somebody to ask the question, okay, what's the difference between Java and HTML and, you know, all of these other things, what makes one better than the other? I'd like to hear this company justify the amount that they're looking at charging.
I know revise
Is
is
it gonna be that much better as opposed to what we have now? But like I said, I don't know if we need to call a special meeting and have them come in with a presentation to
I'm
where
sure
they
they'd be
can
willing
do
to
a
do that.
Q&A, or whether that can be done in a workshop.
I would say it could probably possibly be done in a workshop because it's just for informational purposes. We're not,
Right, there's
we're
not
not there to
gonna be
make any decision making
Right.
or anything
Right.
at that
Right.
time.
I agree.
Well, Tim, those are all good questions, you're right.
I guess for now, let's look into.
Do you want to postpone this to an undetermined date?
No,
Can we do that?
I would say let's look into revising it with the revisions that she set
So
forward,
let's move forward with IT rights.
and then explore
Okay.
the other proposals.
Because we're already paying the $600 no matter
Yeah,
what.
right,
Let's
yeah.
make some changes, let's do some updates. If we're already paying the money, let's make it a little bit more user-friendly, and then delve a little bit deeper into some of these
Okay,
proposals
so you're not,
and
okay,
see.
you're not accepting the proposal, though, the
we're
question
not,
on, the
no.
thing on the board is, on the agenda is consider 3 bid proposals, so
Right.
what you need to do is just postpone that to an undetermined
Okay.
date, and then authorize IT right to make changes.
Right,
And then I'll go ahead and have the changes done and find out what it would get to have it be ADA and,
And accept, possibility of accepting
accepting
payment.
payments, the bill. And I'll get that back to the board, and then we'll see if those changes, and if you guys still want to move forward, we'll move forward with and have a workshop and have everybody come in and show you their stuff.
okay. So you need a motion to approve
I
them
need-
to make the changes as proposed?
I need a motion
To
to,
postpone
or remove it from the agenda, you can just go ahead and remove it from the agenda. Just make a motion to remove that from the agenda, and I'll bring it back out. If we
Make a
want to bring it
motion.
back, we'll bring it
We're
back.
almost done.
Yeah.
Make a motion to remove the consideration of
Remove
the village website design management,
from the agenda. Yeah.
remove it from the agenda.
We're looking for a second.
Support.
Okay, all in favor of removing item I from the agenda, say yes.
Yes.
And any opposed? Okay, that has been successfully removed.
Okay, we don't need a motion for me to do what we need to do already with the company we already have, so I'll
Right.
just do it.
Okay. Write that down. Okay, next on the agenda was, resolution 2019-2.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make a motion, it's come to our attention that we have an outdated policy, so I'll make a motion to take the policy to council to look at rewriting our identification of council and employees for future meetings. So they can look at it and see what we need to do to change.
What is outdated, I'm sorry, the insurance policy?
No, we,
The
No, we,
indemnification clause.
yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be referred to
Tim Glisham,
Tim, yeah,
yep,
okay.
just to look at it, review, and see if it's something we can adopt.
I will second that. So all in favor of allowing Mr. Winship to take a peek at that, say yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And all opposed? Okay, so Mr. Winship will look at that. Next is the last round of public comment that can be about anything. I ask again, we keep it to 3 minutes, we address the chair, and let's keep it friendly.
Do I have to go out there?
Yeah, of course you do. You don't get special treatment.
Such a bad daughter.
I know.
Doreen Hagnes, I had one question about the Parks and Rec. Mr. McAbee said that we're not having a meeting in February, but I looked up our Parks and Rec minutes, and it said that the first draft from the subcommittee would be available to the Parks and Rec committee no later than 21 February. So we were supposed to have a February meeting. The other thing I have is on the website. I know you're talking about online payments and everything, but basically what is that, 4 sewer payments and one tax bill? So spending $4,000 on a new website seems like a lot for 5 bills a year, my point of view. So that was it. I just maybe possibly Mr. McAbee could clarify for Wendy on a meeting for February.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm trying to make this quick. IT Right is handling your, thank you, is handling your website design, is that what I'm understanding? Is it 600 a year, 600 a month?
Year.
600 a year. And they also handle your emails as well. So if you're gonna look at a new website design or whatnot, you might wanna see if there's gonna be a price difference handling the emails also, something to look into. I know that email is a pain to try to go through, not very user-friendly. I know there's a lot of talk that we're trying to keep, the good things rolling through this town with the changes that have taken place, and sometimes spending money to get those good changes coming in, you're gonna have to do. Because the website is very outdated. And if you're already paying $600 a year on it, they should be able to update it for you at a lesser cost, I would have to think. That's just my 2 cents on that. I would like to see some of our monthly expenditures online. I know that was some things that was talked about going around, not necessarily the check registers or stuff of that nature, but when DPW is purchasing something, if we're doing tires or whatnot, anything that's really getting purchased for people that can't actually attend these meetings or see them online, that they can go online and see what we're buying, where the money's actually going to. And then last thing for housekeeping, you guys might want to look at, your FOIA coordinator is still Tom McKinney, the old attorney that used to run this thing. You guys might want to get this village back to normal. You don't need an attorney to be your FOIA coordinator when you have capable individuals in the office. There's no sense of paying that guy lawyer fees to look at something that somebody's requesting that's available inside here. So you may want to fix that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Linda Broughton, Hawthorne Circle. I just wanted to ask if there was any kind of new dates for talking roads, or if you had addressed that, or when that might be.
That I've got to look into, having returned to work, I've got to take a look at my schedule and see what I can open up.
Okay, I mean, because you were gonna do some kind of plan, I was just curious.
With spring coming and the roads being such a hot topic lately,
Yeah.
I do want to get that. Like I said, with going back, there's some changes in schedules, training going on, so I'd hate to schedule a meeting and then because of training or being out of town or something like that, have to either postpone or cancel it, but that is coming.
And the other thing, I just wanted to ask, I'm that ordinance person. So is it my understanding that people that are not in compliant now, that they're kind of grandfathered in? You're gonna do this from this time forward? Or are they gonna go back to people and say your signs are not in compliance with our standards, so you have this amount of time to fix them? Those thoughts were going through my head when you were talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Public comment? Okay, so that will close our public comments, and now we move to council member comments. Any council members have any comments?
Yes, I'd like to clarify that about the Parks and Rec Committee. I pulled up the minutes here, and the subcommittee was to gather information and do the first draft of the guidelines and report those no later than the February 21st meeting. So there will be a February 21st meeting. The guidelines will ultimately be presented to council for their review.
If anybody else has any comments, I'm free to go last.
Regards to the website, during the payment thing is just an option, that's not gonna cost the $4,000. What I think, I know for me, that's just having an option for payments. That's a free service that Revise offers on their sites. But when it comes to like the billing for like, I know when I did the research, I pulled out, I can't remember the township that I actually used it as, that I got the information from, but they allow their residents to log in and elect not to get their bills by paper with stamps, and they can just get it wireless. So that's the kind of stuff that would save the money that I would like to see. If we have to incorporate it with the current site, that's great, but we should be able to step up to that plate in this century now, because we don't have that option. Does that make more sense?
Well, it does, it's just at the cost. I mean, 600 is what I'm
Right.
hearing versus 4,000
Right.
when we have other issues, master plan, roads.
Right.
It
Yeah,
just
if they
seems
can do
kind of
it,
frivolous to work on a website right now.
if they can do it with 600, more be it. I just remember being here for 2 years and people coming up saying this website sucks.
Right, and
it's irritating.
yeah, I think some of it was just the organization of it.
Yeah.
I know I was having those thoughts myself. Anybody, any comments? Anything?
Yeah, a couple of clarifications. The question about being grandfathered in is a very good question. That's very difficult to answer. And I don't know who would answer that, because like I say, across the street, that one was like, 20 years later it came up and they had to be in compliance 20 years later. Just guessing, could have been less than that. But that's a good question. And that's, I do like the approach of giving warnings and working with the neighbors. I like that approach better than just go right to the tickets, because I see some problems. The Parks and Rec, it was my understanding that we were going to take these rules and that they had to be accepted by the council before we could have an election. And that we didn't have, that we weren't in compliance. I think that's the right word. The election was put off because we didn't have rules. So if we meet, what can we do? We can just present the rules. I hate to use that term, but we can't conduct any business. It wouldn't be an official meeting. Because if that was the case, then we should have had an election. But I got a call about cell phone use, and ours are right here. We've consulted with you a few times, but I wasn't aware about a cell phone going off during the last meeting, so I'm not sure if that was the meeting they're talking about. I think at the beginning of the meeting, maybe we just should remind people to put them aside, and that we shouldn't look at them unless we are checking on a date or something. I don't know exactly what that was about, but I was just, going to relay that. I did receive, I received a call almost as I was coming out the door. Wanted to know about the sewer project, and we don't know. I think we just got something. We'll know more. And the question was, I thought you were going to invite Jeff Wright to a meeting, and we can still do that. He's willing to come, and I think there's a lot of questions that we're sitting on the edge of our chair waiting for this thing to happen. Time change, if there is a problem with the meeting starting at 6, we can change the time to make it easier for council members. We used to met at 7 for a zillion years. I received a call thanking us for the way we voted on the marijuana issue, and they really liked the way that it was explained. I don't know what they meant by that. But other than that, we had a nice long meeting. I thought it went quite well. I'm sorry to keep it so long.
And to close, cell phone use. Thank you, Doug. I've been meaning to talk about this for a few meetings, and it's just gone to the wayside. I had a phone call calling me out on why are you using your cell phone when you're sitting at the meeting table, and I said, well, it's looking at my calendar. And it was, it can be, in the research that I did, it can be construed as a violation of the Open Meetings Act if we were, if somebody's on their phone texting back and forth, it could be construed as somebody else on the board is texting with another member. And so, yes, if we can all have our phones, put away, flip down, not look at them unless we're looking at a calendar or looking at a meeting. I'm not saying that I'm going to be looking over Tim's shoulder or Wendy's shoulder to see what they're perusing. But we're all adults. Let's keep it honest. Let's try and keep ourselves in the good graces of the public and not cause any violations.
In the past, has any council ever adopted rules for the meeting room? Because if you haven't, we need to.
Okay, well,
they should be posted, so I will prepare
okay, yeah, put that on
and for you guys' perusal and approval, and then it will be posted. There will be rules for the meeting room.
the. Okay, yep, perfect, perfect. So, so far, I think we've had really great meetings. I've been enjoying this so far. I look forward to discussing roads. I'd like to see that going forward because not only has Linda talked about it, but I have and other members of the community have, and I'd like to see something go forward where we can let the public know what's going on. Stoked about the master plan getting updated. That's extremely out of date, so I'm excited about that, and excited about maybe being able to click on a point of contact for the village and finding a point of contact under the tab that it says so. Wouldn't that be a great thing? So I thank everybody for coming and hanging out, and it's been a good meeting so far. So
one closing thought, if I may.
Yeah.
I was checking the calendar. Next meeting and the following meeting, I will be just a couple of minutes late.
Okay.
But the next 6 or 7 meetings after that,
you're good.
I'm good.
Okay.
I will be
Okay.
working, so.
Perfect. And then we just had some informational.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
We just had some informational items that Sherry had already spoke about with the land splits earlier. Charter communication surcharges increasing by $2 from $9.99 to $11.99. DPW had given us some line striping maps for the roads that Sherry discussed earlier, and also the applications for committee members or commission members for planning, zoning, and parks and rec, which will not go unnoticed. We will look at those and start making some decisions. And with that, we have number 14, which was added to the agenda to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye.